The fall of the Roman Empire wasn't caused by barbarians alone. It was money itself, slowly losing its value, corroding trust, and shaking the empire from within. Roman coins were once the gold standard of the ancient world, but emperors began to dilute them, adding more copper and less silver, thinking no one would notice. At first, this trick worked, funding massive armies and public projects, but slowly, prices began to rise, and savings lost value almost overnight. Citizens noticed, trade faltered, and merchants demanded real silver and gold, refusing debased coins for anything of true value. As coins lost worth, tax collection failed, and Rome's bureaucracy could no longer pay soldiers or maintain roads, weakening the empire from the inside. Inflation spread like wildfire, and ordinary Romans watched their life savings vanish, while wealthy landowners hoarded tangible assets. The lesson was clear. Money is only as strong as the trust people place in it, and Rome's trust was evaporating quietly before the invaders ever arrived. Markets froze, merchants fled, and rural communities returned to barter, exchanging grain, livestock, and land for survival. Generals began paying soldiers with worthless coins, triggering mutinies, and armies became unreliable, leaving borders exposed to raids. Emperors tried to fix it by minting new coins with higher silver content, but the damage was already done. Trust could not be bought back. The empire fractured economically before it fractured politically, proving that financial collapse always precedes military failure. Even the once mighty trade networks of Rome began to crumble, merchants refusing to ship goods without payment in gold or valuable commodities. Cities like Rome and Constantinople grew poorer, citizens abandoned luxury, and the economy became survival-focused rather than ambitious. Rome's inflation set the stage for centuries of instability, influencing Byzantium and later European nations that repeated the same mistakes. History teaches that money is fragile, and civilizations crumble when trust in currency evaporates, a truth as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Across the empire, merchants began hoarding tangible assets, gold, grain, and land, quietly preparing for the day when coins no longer bought essentials. Debasement wasn't just a Roman problem. In Byzantium, centuries later, emperors repeated the same mistake, slowly eroding trust in the gold solidus. Shaving gold and mixing alloys seemed clever at first, but trade across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East soon rejected the currency. The Byzantine economy wavered, markets froze, prices fluctuated wildly, and ordinary citizens saw savings vanish in weeks. Governments cannot resist diluting money, and the lesson echoes today when trust cracks. Only real assets survive. Pandemics have always reshaped economies. After the Black Death, half of Europe's population was gone, and labor suddenly became priceless. Survivors could demand higher wages, buy abandoned lands, and leverage scarcity to climb the social ladder. Fast forward to COVID-19, supply chains broke, governments printed trillions, and wealth shifted to those with liquidity to scoop up undervalued assets. The pattern is relentless. Crises reward preparation and punish dependence on fragile money systems. Florence in the 1340s was Europe's financial heart, home to families like the Bardi and Peruzzi, whose banks seemed untouchable. When Edward III of England defaulted on massive loans, the banks collapsed, and depositors lost everything overnight. Too big to fail was a lie even then. Reputation meant nothing when financial reality came crashing down. The American Civil War wasn't just a fight for land and liberty. It was a battle over currency and trust in government-issued money. The Union printed greenbacks, and the Confederacy printed graybacks. Both inflated away as wars raged and economies faltered. By the end of the Civil War, Confederate currency was worthless, and ordinary citizens lost life savings, while those with tangible assets survived. France faced a similar collapse during its revolution. Assignats promised stability, but unchecked printing destroyed trust and value. Farmers demanded silver or goods instead of paper. Bread riots returned, and the revolutionary economy devoured itself. The winners weren't patriots with paper. They were those who held food, land, and gold, assets the government couldn't print. 2 centuries later, Asia in 1997 faced a similar story. Thailand's currency collapse triggered a regional crisis, leaving ordinary citizens exposed. Foreign debts became death traps. Dollars abroad protected some, while local currency holders lost everything as austerity swept across nations. Collapse is a global transfer of wealth. History repeats, those with assets survive. Those with only trust in institutions perish. Lebanon, 2019 to 2021, brought this lesson to life. Banks froze accounts, the pound LE. Lebanon, 2019 to 2021, brought this lesson to life. Banks froze accounts. The pound lost 90% of value, and families lost entire lifetimes of savings. Survivors were those diversified abroad or holding gold, property, or cash outside collapsing banks. 2008 and 2020 repeated this pattern in modern America. Bailouts for the wealthy, inflation boosting assets, while ordinary wages stagnated. Even in 2023, regional banks collapsed, proving that too big to fail remains a comforting fiction until the door slams shut. Protection comes from understanding patterns, not hoping institutions will save you. Real assets survive when paper fails. After the Black Death, real estate and food were undervalued. After 2008, cash bought foreclosed homes. History rewards foresight. Wealth isn't just what you own, it's what you can do. Skills and production survive collapses when money does not. Bakers, farmers, merchants, those who could provide essential goods or services didn't just survive crises, they thrived. The deeper protection is combination. Tangible assets, productive skills, and awareness that financial illusions always collapse. Every crisis is a transfer. From the trusting masses to prepared few, from paper to tangible value, from passive to active wealth builders. History repeats, collapse isn't rare, it's inevitable, and the cost falls hardest on those blind to patterns. Rome fell slowly, then suddenly. Trust evaporated, armies weakened, trade networks fractured, all because currency lost meaning. Governments debasing coins, printing paper, inflating debts, the methods change, but the victims are always ordinary citizens. The Roman denarius, Weimar marks, Zimbabwe dollars, all show the same truth. Money is fragile when manipulated by power. Real wealth is not digits on a screen. Land, gold, businesses, and skills maintain value when paper currency collapses. Inflation is policy, not accident. Governments silently tax citizens by eroding purchasing power. Debt and currency manipulation benefit elites, while ordinary people pay with lost savings, disrupted lives, and stagnated wages. The scale today is global. Fiat money, massive debt, central banks ready to print, the next collapse could ripple worldwide. The outcome will repeat. Elites shield assets, the unprepared rely on fragile salaries and pensions, and value shifts to tangible goods. Rome, Weimar, Zimbabwe, Lebanon all reinforce the same lesson: trust in money alone is dangerous. Observe the patterns: currency collapses, assets hold value. Those who anticipate gain and the rest lose everything. History doesn't repeat exactly, but if ignored, it crushes. Collapse is always a transfer from the many to the few. Financial systems fail, governments debase, and paper promises vanish. The prepared survive through foresight, liquidity, and skills. Will you be the one left holding promises or the one holding something real? History has answers if you pay attention. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing content.